Brighten up those already bright mornings. Wheeler, Ollie, and Lecter. Mornings at the Cabin.
Mornings at the Cabin, indeed. It is a bright morning. I don't know, Lecter. Well, not that bright outside.
Just trying to be more optimistic, or?
Yeah. I'm going to blame Jill on this one.
Okay, fair enough. Throw Jill under the bus. There's a lot of that going around these days.
It's the style.
Yeah,
that's
just like when we used to wear onions on our belts. And now it's different. We just, say things and then say different things the next day and say, no, you misunderstood. It's all their fault or something. No idea what's going on in this territory right now.
I blame radio in general.
Yeah, fair enough. You can't see us. So you can't see us when we're, if we say something, it sounds genuine, but our faces are like this. You can't see that.
That was a goofy face.
That was a goofy face. Or this face.
Oh, that's I don't know what that is.
I don't know what that is. Drunken pirate.
Constipated face?
Yeah. Yeah, there we are. Mornings at the Cabin. Wheeler, Lecter, and AJ with you. We're going to get Ellie in here a little later on for a segment we like to call, what's it called again?
That's the segment name?
Yeah, that's pretty much.
Here's Ollie with,
I get it wrong every time without knowing precisely what's going on. Why do I get it backwards?
It's always the knowing and precisely.
I know, because they
There's
don't
no
know
precision.
precisely.
Yeah.
Precisely not knowing what's going on. We'll get him in here for a little bit. And then we got special guest, 8 o'clock. Des Lorene's going to join us. He's in town. We had to hunt him down. He's not in town?
No.
You said he was in town.
I thought he was in town. It's an online thing.
Oh, for God's sake.
I'm an idiot.
What a great start.
But he's going to be on the show.
It doesn't matter. Throw me under the bus.
Mornings at the Cabin, the podcast.
Yesterday, there was the Black Lives Matter rally in Yellowknife. Hundreds showed up. And I wanted to talk to Sarah because Sarah was out there on the street doing a video. If you want to check that out. If you weren't able to make it, as a lot of people weren't, myself included, I feel a little raw about that, actually. You can go to Cabin Radio, NWT. The video is right there. A massive turnout, great speeches, a lot of people just showing solidarity, great signage, great everything. Sarah, you were kind of in the midst of it all, doing the video. What did you see?
Yeah, so we had Emily down at the multiplex, and she was there kind of interviewing people as they started to gather, and she was going to let me know when they left the multiplex, and I was going to meet them coming so I could get some shots of the crowd coming towards us. And originally it was just supposed to be a motorcade. They weren't supposed to actually gather in a crowd and walk along the road. So I'm walking down Franklin towards the multiplex.
Yeah.
Did I miss them? Like, what if no one showed up? Like, because I was just looking for a couple people maybe walking.
Yes.
And, like, maybe a bunch of people driving slowly.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I turned the corner, and suddenly, like, there's this huge, huge crowd. Everyone is walking. Everyone is marching.
How many people would you say?
Hundreds.
Hundreds.
We've learned that none of us are very good at counting how many people are in a crowd. We should have maybe come up with a plan for counting how many people were there.
But I mean, based on
it's hard when you're on the ground and in the middle of it, though.
Yeah,
like, you almost need like a higher up vantage
Based
point.
on the video, based on the pictures, I'd say a few hundred people.
It was a good turnout.
Yeah. 400 plus, probably.
Yeah, I definitely expected it to be over a bit sooner, and then the horn honking just kept coming. It's like, wow, this is quite a turnout. It was really good.
Yeah, one of the organizers said they gave a few speeches in front of the police station where everyone gathered, and kind of basically said that they had asked the police if they could march, and the police had said no.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, we're just going to do it anyways, because, and here's the line in our story, the oppressor will never have the right way to protest. Yeah. We're supposed to take over, so we're taking over.
That's exactly right. So, and we announced it yesterday when PSAC organized the event, and they asked people to do the vehicle procession. If you were going to not be in your vehicle, stand alongside the road, physically spaced, with signs. And you know what? We were passing on that message, and because that's who organized it, and that's what they wanted to get out there, and knowing immediately that that's not what was going to happen.
Yeah.
And I got a message 10 minutes after that from a friend of the show, and said, "Listen, this is kind of on the down low. We're just going to march. That's what we're going to do. We're going to get there at the multiplex, and we're all going to march. And if people want to drive, they can drive too, but we're all going to march." And I mean, I was absolutely give the big thumbs up. I was like, "Great, thanks for letting me know." And I passed that message along, just like let us know that's what's going to happen.
Right.
And that's exactly what should have happened. Yeah. And even under the story, you'll still see people that's not social distancing, just looking for any way to kind of just to kind of take the air out of the whole thing.
Derail.
Derail the thing. It's like, well, that's not social distancing. They're not having respect for this. They're not having respect for blah. That's not what protests are about. And I mean, as much as physical distancing right now is incredibly important, that's not what you're seeing elsewhere. Other people are putting themselves out there and putting themselves at risk, possibly, of doing that. The chief public health officer in Alberta saying that if you did participate in these protests, please get tested. Like, we're not going to tell you not to protest because that's not going to work. Please get tested.
That's a good way to navigate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
because you're not going to stop people from doing that.
Yeah.
This is an incredibly important issue. This is an incredibly important time to show solidarity.
Yeah.
So you get out there and you march.
Yeah.
Because that's a lot more powerful than another procession of vehicles, right? Which we've been doing for the last couple of months when someone in the city that's well loved or well liked and known has passed away. We've done processions, or we do the birthday parades or whatever. It's not as effective. Watching a bunch of vehicles roll through town with some signage is not as effective as people actually gathering and showing it, shouting, speaking, making their voices heard. You can't make your voices heard when you're in a car. So, Sarah, you obviously, it's tough to kind of know, especially with a huge swath of people, how many people were there. It's looking like a few hundred. How did it feel, kind of being on the ground amongst everybody with all of that energy? There's a lot of energy there, and some of it's anger, some of it's frustration, some of it's I don't want to say joy, but like there's some positivity in there mixed in there as well. How did it feel being on the ground?
Well, it was a little strange to be in like a big crowd for the first time in months.
Yes.
But a lot of people were wearing
weird.
masks.
Yeah.
A lot of people were like as spaced out as they could be, given the circumstances. I don't know. I feel like I was just very proud of Yellowknife for showing up because I feel like for the last week or so, there's been protests all over the world.
Yeah.
And this is kind of waiting for something to kind of happen in Yellowknife. And it's like, are we going to do something? And then, it was really nice to see that we did. Yeah.
And I think a lot of people are sharing that pride on Facebook and elsewhere if they weren't able to make it. And it was wonderful to see as many people as there were getting out there, showing that solidarity, showing support for the community. And I'm you know what? And I'm pretty raw about missing it. I was feeling pretty raw for the rest of the day. Not feeling sorry for myself, just kind of angry that I was not able to make it there.
Right.
And I said that I let people know that, like, I was like, I'm so sorry I wasn't there, and they're like, don't feel bad. Like, it was great thing. You couldn't make it. That's fine.
They had a good time without you.
Well, exactly. They had a good time. That's fine. But like, you show your support in other ways, right?
Yeah.
We have these talks here.
Yeah.
Donate when we can. You tell people to F off on Facebook. Every little bit helps.
Got to do your part.
And there's a few people in the comment sections of our stories that you want to be like, you know what? And F you. And you just kind of erase it. And you're like, nah, it's not a good look. But it's one of those things.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a great turnout. You guys were watching from the window here, and doing your work. And how did it look to you guys?
It looked like an amazing turnout. Like I said, I expected it, to be maybe like a couple hundred people, and it would be over as far as like the procession going past our building on Franklin. I felt like it would be probably over pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But it seemed like it just kept going. Just when I thought that, the crowd had passed by, all of a sudden there's more honking, look outside, more cars with black ribbons on them and signs. I definitely felt, and when I was leaving that day and out on the street and there were still people kind of returning home or, milling about wherever they were headed after the speeches wrapped up, I definitely felt like a bit of a different kind of energy just about the town, and it, kind of in a hard way to describe, but just ultimately a positive thing that, that this was needed, as much as it was anywhere else. It's important for communities throughout, because we're all a lot closer than sometimes we like to admit to our neighbors to the south. I think it was important for a lot of people to get out and to show that solidarity.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a lot of frustration that needed to be voiced, and you got to give people a platform to do that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, good. And, we'll just keep on covering that stuff when it happens.
Yeah.
And keep on talking about it. That's what we got to do. Speaking and listening. And if you are in the comment section or you saw signs that say defund the RCMP, before you have a knee-jerk reaction, do a little research into what that means.
The Mornings at the Cabin podcast.
Ollie joins us for another segment of Without Knowing Precisely What's Going On with Ollie Williams. Ollie, without knowing precisely what's going on, what the hell's going on? What the hell's going on?
Well, I've asked all the people who should know precisely what's going on.
Yes.
And
none of them know.
Well, no, they each appear to know precisely what's going on. The difficulty is that one of them is the Premier and one of them is the Health Minister, and they each have polar opposite answers to precisely what is going on.
Yes. So the confusion being that Premier Cochrane seems to have said a couple of things that contradict themselves.
Well, there's not a whole lot of seems to about it.
Okay.
So, Premier Caroline Cochrane went on national CBC television on Monday.
Hey, big platform. You want to do your best.
Interviewed by Rosie Barton, and Rosie Barton asked Caroline Cochrane a relatively straightforward question: is tourism off the table for the Northwest Territories right now? To which the Premier responded, no, tourism is on the table, and we want people, you have to self-isolate if you come here for a couple of weeks, but we want people to come up. We want them to enjoy it here. Come and see the beautiful Northwest Territories. Come and check out our territory. Which, of course, listening to that here, ears prick up a little bit, because that's a significantly different statement to anything we've heard for the last few months, which has been the territory's closed. Unless you're a resident or you meet this very finite list of exceptions, you're not coming in.
Including former premiers. Now, if you are self-isolating, you come here, how are you supposed to check out the territory? How are you supposed to check out all the beauty and whatnot?
Well, if you're a non-resident, under Caroline Cochrane's statement from Monday, you self-isolate for 2 weeks first, and then you be a tourist after that. Now,
or if you're visiting family, you just don't leave their house.
Exactly. What a great trip.
Not necessarily that many tourists are going to go for 2 weeks of self-isolation at the Ptarmigan Inn. Now, believe me, I like the Ptarmigan Inn. I'm not necessarily sure I'd pick 2 weeks at it for my annual vacation if I lived in Toronto. But the issue is not the tourist.
No.
The issue is not that. The issue is that if you say tourists are okay to come, then as an extension of that, obviously families and friends of people who live here already must be okay to come. But many NWT residents have spent months cancelling family events, telling people they can't come, because even if they self-isolated for 2 weeks, the rule was no.
Yeah.
And people have had responses to that effect from Protect NWT saying, no, you can't come in, because you're not a resident and you're not an essential worker. Yeah. So you don't count. To now say, we're open, anyone can come in, you just got to self-isolate for 2 weeks, is a massive shift.
Yeah.
But it clearly was a shift that not everybody's been fully briefed on, because a day after Caroline Cochrane gave that interview, the Health Minister, Diane Tom, stood up in the legislature and said, no, leisure travel is still prohibited. What we're going to do is have a new public health order, and this is the first we'd heard of it, is when Diane Tom referred to it in passing. We're going to have a new public health order that makes it easier for people who are coming here for new jobs or are coming here to study to get in. But it's not, and this is a direct quote, she said it's not going to be a free-for-all at the border, which appears to be a direct contradiction of the Premier, who had effectively said it is going to be a free-for-all at the border as long as everybody self-isolates. So
confusing time.
Confusing times. I did seek a little clarity from the territorial government over this after Caroline Cochrane's first interview. I wrote to the territorial government. I said, "What's going on here? Can you give me any sort of update?" I got a fresh written response from the Premier of the Northwest Territories yesterday. So this is attributable to Caroline Cochrane, but it came from a spokesperson of hers. And I'll read it to you in full, if I can.
Yes, please do.
The government of the Northwest Territories' priority has always been to protect the health of the people of the Northwest Territories, and we moved quickly to put strong measures in place to keep COVID-19 from spreading throughout the NWT and to tell residents about them.
True.
Fair so far?
Yep.
Fair so far.
They did, absolutely.
While we have said the NWT's borders are closed, it would be more accurate to say that travel within the territory has been restricted.
Huh? What? No, travel. What?
So now we're departing a little from previous narrative. Okay?
I thought it was the opposite.
Yeah, travel within the territory has always been open.
Yeah.
So we're departing a little here from what our previous understanding collectively was.
Yes.
So she says, while we have said the NWT's borders are closed, it would be more accurate to say that travel within the territory has been restricted. Furrowed brow emoji. That's not in the... That's my own foreign press.
Oh.
Yes. While the border isn't closed to Canadian residents...
Huh?
While the border isn't closed to Canadian residents, we still require people who are not on essential travel to self-isolate for 14 days in one of our 4 regional centres.
Uh,
That's...
So just cover all the bases, really. Just kind of,
So the sentence, the phrase, while the border isn't closed to Canadian residents, is a complete reversal
Yeah.
of the fact that they have been saying for months that the border is closed to all Canadian residents except NWT ones and essential workers.
Now, but for this entire time, she's been operating under the guidance of the Chief Public Health Officer.
So she says, yes.
So she says. And this obviously contradicts what they're saying.
Well, it certainly contradicts the last thing we heard from the Chief Public Health Officer.
So, so what? Why the departure, I guess?
Well, we'll come on to that. Anyway, they then use a couple of lines of waffle about how important this is to ensure new cases of COVID don't get to communities, blah, blah, blah.
The people of the Northwest Territories, protecting the Northwest Territories.
She adds, we recognise that we need to be clearer on the authority and operation of our travel restrictions. Mm-hmm. We are making it clearer for those travelling in the NWT and for our officials who are protecting public health by monitoring travel into the territories. Do you feel as though it has been made clearer?
Well, it's clear that I can't travel within the territory, but I'm allowed to have someone come up as long as they isolate for 14 days.
And then they can go wherever.
If it's essential, but also if they're tourists from anywhere. Yeah, clear as mud.
But no tool buses.
No tool buses.
So, why is this happening? Well, I have a theory.
Yep.
It is purely a theory. It is almost pure speculation, but it's probably correct.
I can't wait.
And the theory I have is that there is a concern that the NWT closing its borders was a charter violation, which we've heard a little bit about before. So the Canadian Civil Liberties Association, which loves anything like this, has been on at various different provinces and territories. Newfoundland, I think, PEI maybe, Nunavut, and the NWT. There have been letters back and forth from the Canadian Civil Liberties Association saying the charter says you can't do this. You can't restrict travel like this within Canada. You're not allowed to restrict Canadians' mobility within their country in the way that you're doing. Now, at the start of this pandemic, the NWT could reasonably have, clearly did it. They did say their borders were closed. Let's not be gaslit by anybody here. We know what we know. Yeah. For the last few months, that border has been shut down, apart from very few exceptions. And the GNWT can defend that by saying, regardless of what the charter says, there's a pandemic on, we need to protect our small communities. Even if you want to take us to court, by the time you actually get to court, we probably won't need it anymore, and we'll just reopen it and it'll all be fine. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, maybe the GNWT has got to the point where it's looked at this and said, you know what, does kind of look like a bit of a charter violation, doesn't it? This could be a little bit awkward in court. How about, hear me out on this, Premier, how about what we do is we just massage the message slightly and we just say that actually the border was open all along, just maybe the interpretation of that was a little bit muddy at the time. Why don't we just say that?
Yeah.
And then there hasn't been a charter violation. Meanwhile, the border closure has already served its purpose and we dodged COVID-19, so that was great. So that's all served its purpose. Now we just pretend that wasn't really what we did, and then that's going to play better for us in a court case later on than holding our hands up to it and saying, totally close those borders. Now, as I say, pure speculation, 100% speculation, but at the moment, I don't have a whole lot else to go on to explain for you why the Premier of the Northwest Territories abruptly shifted the entire territory's policy in a live CBC interview on Monday, and then the rest of the territory seems to have desperately just tried to find a way to explain that away since.
Maybe they were just hoping that no one would call them on it.
I think the only thing that wouldn't explain is the seeming apparent, attempted clarification of travel within the NWT is restricted. Because how...
Well, and the whole, you need special permission to come here if you want to visit a dying family member.
So I had a wonderful phone call 5 minutes before Cabin Corner went on the air. A very, very senior communications officer from the GNWT phoned me, and I want to say straight away I have a lot of respect for this person. I think they personally are fantastic at what they do. They're very helpful, but they've clearly been given a message, so I am not shooting the messenger. I don't know who that message came from. They phoned me up to say, Ollie, you're reading this wrong. What the public health order has said all along about travel is that people can come into the Northwest Territories. It is then their travel within the territory that is restricted. This is where the charter rights thing comes in, I think.
Yeah.
So what they're arguing is that essentially you're allowed to come from anywhere in Canada and put both feet over the border, but then the NWT has the power to restrict your travel from there. And I don't know, put you in a small box and tell you better stay there for 2 weeks. Which, let me tell you right now, is not what the public health order says. And I don't care how many times you read it, it does not say what the GNWT is trying to claim it says. But I can see why they would want it to, because then that gets you out of your charter violation box. Because now you're not restricting travel into the Northwest Territories. You're all allowed to take one pace over the border, and then you can't move. And now the NWT is restricting your travel within the territory, which it can do. So it's this very subtle change that basically says if we stop you at the border, then we're wrong because that's a charter violation. But if we stop you 3 feet inside the border, now we're okay because it's inside our territory and we get to decide. And I think that is the shift that they're trying, this very delicate little dance that is trying to be done between the previous borders are closed, no, you all go away, and now, no, the borders are open, but we're going to let you in by 15 inches and then tell you that you got to stay there forever.
Well, I still don't know what's going on.
No, me neither. And I cannot wait for further explanation.
I'm sure it's coming.
At some point, someone, well, theoretically, the Chief Public Health Officer, Cami Candola, who, let's be very clear, has not had a word to say on this yet, theoretically, every Wednesday has a news conference. Now, I haven't seen any confirmation of this week's yet, which is interesting. But assuming that goes ahead this afternoon, I think we'll probably hear some very interesting things from the Chief Public Health Officer, and I highly look forward to hearing her view on this. And we'll see what we get. And the other back in the legislature today as well. One would hope a couple of regular MLAs might have a thing or two to say, might have some questions.
Oh, I'm sure they will.
And we'll find out.
Meanwhile, we're all confused about it, and all of our drug dealers are just like, well, yeah. Guys, like, way to catch up.
Yeah, exactly, guys. We've been coming in and out of here all the time. All you got to do is tell me you have an address.
Section 3, Part 12 of the Public Health Order. As long as you're in a Toyota Corolla, come on in.
With 5 other guys with no explanation as to why you're here. Come on in. Ollie, thank you as always. Usually things become a little bit more clear after we finish this segment. This one, and no fault of your own because you're working with the information you have, still a little muddy. So I guess we'll get some more clarification probably today, if not today, very soon.
Well, let's hope so.
Mornings at the Cabin, the podcast, where we cut out all the great music and you're left with the rest.
Special guest joining us via Zoom, not Skype. Sorry, Skype, you lost. You had an 18-year head start, and you lost. 18 years? Probably like 10 years.
Quit scolding Skype.
No! I will scold Skype. Take him to school. A little alliteration for you on your Wednesday morning. Des Lorraine, host, city councilor, creator, wrestler, Renaissance man, joins us on the line on Zoom. Good morning, Des. How are you, brother?
You know, just Skype shaming on a Wednesday morning.
That's right, baby. That's right. Oh, I noticed you turned your camera off. But we got a nice picture of you, though. What is that, like a 16-bit version of you there?
Yeah, that's one of the good old Fiverr arts that I got done there.
Oh, nice, man. Well, okay. The reason for this visit, we love having you on, but the reason for this visit is that Lecter thought you were in town yesterday, and we were all like, "What the hell? He's in town? He didn't tell us." But it turns out you're not in town. But that's fine. That's what Zoom is for. What's going on, man? We just wanted to check in. How are you?
Oh, man, I'm doing great. This week has been pretty wild. I'm taking part in the Unity workshop put on by Skins and in partnership with Western Arctic Moving Pictures.
Yep.
It's been really crazy, man. It's today is day 3 of the course. We're going more into storytelling today. The last 2 days have been more technical into Unity, sort of learning environments, creating the sort of terrain. And let me tell you, man, as a lifelong video gamer, this is like exciting stuff, really exciting stuff.
Sweet. So tell us a little bit more about that. I've been noticing you posting these videos. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so I got approached by Davis. Obviously, we all know Davis at WOMP, and Davis he said they were putting on this free workshop. And I said, okay, well, of course, I'll definitely take part in it. It's a 5-day intensive workshop. It's like 4 or 5 hours a day of learning and experimenting with this program called Unity, which is like a video game engine. So essentially, they want to give us the tools to make our own video game and tell like an indigenous story. And so that's what it is. It's half Indigenous storytelling and half video game workshop. So it's a really awesome sort of blend of the two knowledges.
Amazing.
So,
awesome.
Des, you've talked a little bit about your game that you're developing on like your social media. There's more in the story that you did with Megan Brackenbury on cabinradio.ca. Highly encourage anyone to check that out. Really good story. But tell us in your own words, what exactly is the theme, the idea behind the video game you are creating? And then after that, tell us, how do you find time for all of this?
So the video game I want to make, it's something kind of personal to me. It's sort of like an awakening, sort of self-realization about alcoholism in a lot of ways. The trip, it's actually called Out for the Hunt. And so you wake up on this beach and you're kind of like, whoa, like, oh, I'm on this beach. What's going on? And you puke and you're obviously very hungover. There's a bit of humor to start it off. And you start like, oh man, this guy's like, he's got a hangover. But then you kind of realize very quickly that this man's actions have cost him more than that, and it sort of unravels as the story goes on. So by the end of it, you sort of make this realization that, like, wow, what appeared to be okay on the outside really isn't, and it's affecting this person a lot more than it's showing. And so I wanted to take that on as a theme because, like I said, it's something that's personal to me. I've been fighting with alcohol for a long time. I think a lot of us have. And I'm just not seeing the benefits of it, right? So I think sharing that message while giving it the backdrop of being, in the Mackenzie Delta and having sort of like an Indigenous theme throughout of it is sort of what I'm going to be touching on. And then there's also more ideas I have, but this is sort of the main theme I have for the first one, is touching on that alcoholism and sort of that little journey through that. And as where I find the time for it all, I mean, I don't sleep.
Oh, right.
Right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I forgot about that part.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, and we're always interested in what you're doing, man. And I mean, you post about it, and we were always like, "Well, Des is into something else." And it's like you posted yesterday, and you kind of just listed all the things that you're kind of into right now, and it's a long list. But I wanted to talk to you about one of your passions, the big love out there, Totally Arctic Wrestling. Obviously, restrictions are restricting you from putting on another show. But what's going on with TAW, and what can we expect here in the near future?
Well, honestly, right now, that's what I'm kind of waiting for. Is I've sent in emails to Protect NWT. I've talked to their handler there. I forget the person's name already, the guy's name, but he said, right now they can't. In all the way up to phase 3, we've got to observe social distancing, so they can't give the green light to any wrestling at this time. And it's like, okay, cool. Except then you're sort of seeing now, like, people in their social circles, in their households, are able to get in within social distancing of each other.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think anybody's out there stopping people from having personal physical relationships. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, where's the line going to be drawn? We've beaten this horse to death. People have said it already, in other media publications of, like 4 guys alone in Inuvik in a warehouse is not going to start a pandemic. But at the same time, you are seeing cases in BC, cases across Canada, across the world of, these intimate gatherings causing these, sort of mini breakouts of COVID. So at the same time, we want to be responsible, but it's like, hey, we're in the farthest place of the earth here. There's 4 of us. I mean, so I'm ready to honestly move these boys into my house. I'm honestly ready to move these boys into my house
to
do the tapings. We're going to it's going to be the biggest sort of middle finger FU to pretty much like the whole system of like, what are we doing here? And I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to have that role of, pandemic. This is all, government conspiracy to control us. Because of course it's not, right? Of course it's not. But I don't want to give that impression off by just saying, you know what, we're going to gray these rules out here. We're going to go through these loopholes, right?
Right.
So it's tricky for me because I'm learning to be a pro wrestler here. And a big part of that is grappling people. If I can't grapple anybody, then I'm just watching videos and learning how to tumble. And that's great because I need to learn how to tumble because I don't know how to tumble yet. But I still want to grab guys, right? Hang on. Out of context here. I want to wrestle, okay?
Yeah.
I want to
grapple. You want to grapple. We got it.
Exactly.
That's right.
Yeah, you can only cut so many promos online before it's time to, like, mix it up a little.
That's right.
Yeah.
Get into the
I've
nitty-gritty
mastered
of
the
it.
microphone already. What else can I do there, boys?
That's right.
Exactly right. Exactly right. You mastered.
I feel so bad for your reporter, though. I feel so bad for your reporter. She had this really easy hey, I'm going to go talk to this guy about a video game workshop. And I think I was on the phone with her for 40 minutes. Honestly, that's why the story starts off so heavy into like, Des Loreen, Wizard of America, Wizard of the World. Like, this man is going to take over your whole world. Like, it's like, oh, jeez.
We should have given Megan a bit of a heads up to let her know what she was getting into, I suppose.
I thought you did. I honestly did. I was like, oh my gosh. And she's like, so do you have any questions for me, before I write this thing? And I'm like, honestly, no, you wouldn't be working with Cabin if you didn't have good journalistic integrity. Plus, I think I gave you more than enough to do something with this.
And that'll become the story. City councilor overwhelms reporter.
Well, that's it. I quit, says reporter.
If this is what it's going to be like, I'm out. Yeah.
If every town councilor that's making video games and pro wrestling is going to be like this, then I am not doing this job here.
You're probably the only one in the world at this point. Pro wrestler, video game designer, city council. I think so.
Probably.
I can't think of one.
At least in the NWT, right?
Well, at least in the NWT. I'd say at least in Canada. Amazing, man. It's always great to hear what you're up to. And keeping with the wrestling thing, I wanted to ask you about this because I know you've been watching it. I've been watching it too. Lecter's been watching it. Dark Side of the Ring. You're probably finished it all. You probably watched a bunch of it twice. What's your take? What was your favorite episode?
Wow. I think Dino Bravo's episode was one of the favorites I could think of off the top of my head. Obviously, we're thinking Benoit, we're thinking Owen Hart as the big ones, but I think Dino Bravo's was something that really opened my eyes to something that I wasn't aware of. As a kid, I remember seeing Dino Bravo on TV and not liking him at all, but to know his backstory and really the politics of wrestling, it opens your eyes to a lot of things, right? And so I'm really hoping for season 3 there, boys, because apparently, I mean, that's the highest rated program they've had on Vice.
Yeah.
So I don't see them not renewing it.
That's right.
But at the same time, when you talk to Jason, you talk to Evan, the creators of the show, they were happy to get 1, not 16.
That's right.
So they're living the dream right now, right?
Yeah. So. And all the episodes are awesome. It starts with the very first episode is the Macho Man Elizabeth episode, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, it starts at a great place, especially if you're a fan of like late 80s, early 90s wrestling. And like you said, there's the Owen Hart episode, which is absolutely heartbreaking. And the Chris Benoit episodes, there's 2-parter there. And the one that I really liked in season 2 that I just watched a couple days ago was the last ride of the Road Warriors, which was a great episode as well.
Wow, yeah. Talk about living a double life, right? Talk about having 2 guys that could not be more opposite with each other, that were just trying to do this one thing, and oh my gosh, man!
And we're a team for like 15 years. They were a team.
Yeah. Like to be that, like that's like the longest relationship ever. That's crazy, man.
Well, Des, I mean, it's there's never like enough time to talk to you about all the things you got going on, because you're also in the midst of all this. You're still, I assume, producing a television series. You're still
writing the show 9 to 5.
Yeah.
It's tough. Like the days got split up. Like I'm working early mornings on the show. I'm doing the workshop, and then I'm doing the show in the afternoon, late evening. So I am definitely running myself ragged this week. But I mean, it's nothing really new to me.
You wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah, well, I mean, but that's it. And then there's town council tonight, and I've actually got to film the grad. I'm looking, so that I got double booked a bit tonight, so I might have to make a bit of a change there. But yeah, no, I mean, honestly, so anybody listening to this, please check out my website, desloreen.com. I just did a very cool interview with a legendary wrestling promoter. His name is Tony Condello. He's like 85. He's this awesome dude who's run out of Manitoba. He's done all these northern tours of indigenous communities. He's very big in that region. He's actually the guy that gave Roddy Piper his name.
Oh, wow.
Like, that's legit. Like, that's crazy to hear the story. So it's on the show. It's going to be actually playing tomorrow night here on Cabin Radio. We're playing that Tony Condello interview.
Nice.
He talks about the origins of Roddy Piper, naming Roddy Piper, literally naming the man who didn't have a gimmick and who said he could play the bagpipes and was practicing before the show. And he said, look, really? You don't have a gimmick? Roddy, come on. Hot Rod, what are you doing here? Like, come on. And that was where it started, man.
That's right.
Honestly, the Piper,
amazing.
That was it.
Amazing.
So, I mean, these are things you learn when you get into this sort of thing, Like there's a rich history of wrestling in Canada, across the world, and I'm just cracking into it now because everybody wants a piece of TAW. It's ridiculous. We're getting offers from Florida, from Tennessee, from all across the states of people who have been on television that want to be up here just to say they wrestled in the North, like in the Arctic Circle. So now it's just a matter of let's get them up here, let's let this happen.
Chomping at the bit, man, for those restrictions to ease up.
Oh, totally. Like I said, we're waiting for BC. My trainer's in BC. We're looking to take a road trip as soon as we can. Like there's a lot that's a lot of moving parts are waiting to happen here. So I don't want to have to challenge the Premier to a wrestling match in Anuve. I don't want to have to.
Well, I mean,
I don't want to have to.
And you don't want to get locked up in her finishing move, which is throwing you under the bus. Snap! I got mic skills. Des, man, amazing to hear from you as always. We're always interested to hear what you're up to. We'll just have you on the. You know what? Like we don't need a reason to have you on the show. We'll just have you on the show again very soon. Listen to the Destro Show tomorrow night, 10 to 11 on Cabin Radio for that interview that we were just talking about. That's pretty incredible, man. It sounds like you're just doing you're doing so many things and you're doing them well. So keep going, man.
Oh, man, there's something really big coming up on the horizon. So thank you, guys. Of course, there's something always big up on the horizon.
I was just going to say, this is what you say every time.
But this is like big national podcasting network style big. So this is huge.
All right.
Okay.
Sweet, man. We can't wait to hear about it.
Yes. Okay, you guys take care. Thank you so much, everybody.
Absolutely, man. Thanks a lot, Des. Have a good one.
You too.
Des Lorraine of the Destro Show. Desi Eskimofo. The man does it all and does it with a ton of energy. And if you haven't listened to the Destro Show, listen to it tomorrow night from 10 to 11 on Cabin Radio. It's pretty awesome. And like the guy just has that positive energy that kind of gives that to you too. So keep listening, and we'll keep updating you on what Des is up to. And of course, he'll update you as well because he's kind of nonstop.
We'll try to keep up ourselves.
Exactly.
Really.
We'll try to keep up with him.
Cabin Radio's Morning Show podcast. All the best chat, none of the embarrassing mistakes.
Today begins Yellowknife Takeout Week. That's right. It's your chance to win a $1,000 gift certificate to Canadian Tire by grabbing takeout from any local restaurant during the first ever Yellowknife Takeout Week, starting today, running until next Wednesday. Cabin Radio, Canadian Tire, and Trevor's Independent Grocer have joined forces to support eateries in Yellowknife who are still making great food, even though we can't dine in just yet. And now to enter the draw, just order takeout or delivery from a minimum of 3 different locations between these dates, June 10th and June 17th, spending a minimum of $20 in each location, excluding delivery fee if applicable. So you got to do $20 in food.
Which is pretty easy to achieve.
Pretty easy to achieve. Remember to keep your receipts. Now, out of the 3 choices, right, 2 of them have to be one-of-a-kind local restaurants.
Yes.
Right? You can't just go to McDonald's
for
3 times and expect to get entered.
Right.
Doesn't work that way.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to do that, you want to go to at least 2, and you can go to a chain as well, and still get an entry. But you want to do at least 2 local places. So you know your Woodyard, your Copper House, your Monkey Tree, or what have you,
or what have you,
or what have you. Any excuse to say what have you.
Your Black Knight,
and your Black Knight, or your Boston Pizza. Of course, that would not be a local place, but that does count. Am I making this clear?
Yeah.
Clear. What I'm saying is that you can go to any of the restaurants in town.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone can go, but once you're there, you have to stick with that restaurant. And you can't leave it. Sorry, I'm getting my messages muddled up here. Entering is easy. They want you to submit photos of your receipts, maybe cross out any information on there that would give you away, using the takeout week form, which you can find at cabinradio.ca to enter for your chance to win. If you can't access the form, you can send your receipts attached to one email to win@cabinradio.ca. Is that a new email address for us? Win? Or has that always been there?
That's the first I've heard of it.
There you go. Win at cabinradio.ca with the details of where you ate and when. The deadline to submit your receipts is 11:59 p.m. next, or on June 20th, I should say. So after the final day of the actual thing, you have a couple of days to enter those receipts. It's just, it's a great way to kind of support local eateries, right? And if you're lucky enough to have been able to this whole time, like we've been going out at least once or twice a week to do takeout,
right?
You know, and it's a nice little treat for us, but it's also a nice way to support local places. Not everybody's able to do that, so if you're able to do that, awesome. Please do. And every dollar spent stays in the restaurants you choose. It's a great promotion. So here are the rules, though. I'm just going to let the rules. You can find this at cabinradio.ca.
Okay.
You need at least 3 receipts in total from 3 different restaurants, including at least 2 local eateries that aren't franchises. All receipts have to be dated between June 10th and June 17th, 2020. Each receipt has to be for a minimum of $20, excluding delivery fees.
You don't have to read it like a disclaimer. Slow down.
More than one receipt from the same restaurant doesn't increase your chance of winning. You can use the same receipt if you have more than one online passport. For each For each extra local restaurant, we define local as a restaurant that isn't a franchise of a larger company that exists beyond the NWT. On top of the 3 minimum restaurants required, you get 1 more chance to win. So, example, 3 local restaurants or 2 local restaurants plus a chain, 1 chance to win. 2 local restaurants plus 2 chains, 1 chance to win. 4 local restaurants, 2 chances to win. 3 local restaurants and a chain, 2 chances to win. 5 local restaurants, 3 chances to win.
Hoy.
There's a lot going on.
This is getting complicated.
No substitutions, exchanges, or refunds. Get all the information at cabinradio.ca. I'm just trying to wrap it up.
I see.
But takeout week starts today.
Yes.
So any takeout you get for the next week, keep those receipts, send them to win at cabinradio.ca, or download the form at cabinradio.ca. You can find the story there. And for your chance to win a $1,000 gift certificate to Canadian Tire. That's pretty good.
That's pretty awesome.
I want to get a kayak.
Yeah.
I want to be part of the Yak Pack, not your Yak Pack, but a Yak Pack. You know?
What other yak pack are you going to find?
Well, anybody else who yaks out there.
They don't want to yak with you.
I know. Nobody wants to yak with me. Except maybe Phoenix. I think Phoenix is down for yakking.
I'll go with you anytime, buddy.
Oh, goodness. I think we might take you up on your offer to borrow yours, just to see how it works.
Okay. Just to see how it feels.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure.
Yeah. All right.
Anytime.
Well, anytime you're not yakking.
That's right.
And I'll just
all the time.
I'll just show up at your place. Can I yak? cabinradio.ca for all that information. Do yourself a favor. Eat from any of the fine local eateries here in town. Support them, but also your chance to win that $1,000 giftie. Pretty good stuff. More information, like I said, at cabinradio.ca. And we'll just keep reminding you, okay? Because I'm probably going to get something tonight.
Okay.
What should I get
the
tonight?
First day.
What should I get tonight?
Oh, I don't know. Where haven't you been in a while?
Oh, I don't know. Let's see. I had Taste of Saigon last week.
Okay.
We had Woodyard the week before that. We had Copper House last week as well.
Uh-huh. Is Bullock's closed? Are they open?
That's a good one. I mean, I know they're selling the sauce, which is great.
Yeah, but they weren't doing the takeout
They're
thing.
not doing takeout thing. I don't think they're doing takeout.
I don't know
Here's
if that's
another one.
changed or
Do
not.
food trucks count?
Oh.
Right? Because the fish and chips guy is at Canadian Tire. He's there. He sold out. They sold out like within a few hours.
I don't
on
see why
Saturday.
that wouldn't count.
Right?
Yeah.
And one of a tie is going to be opening up pretty soon as well.
Yeah.
There you go.
There you go. All kinds of options.
All kinds of options.
Yeah.
Plenty of stuff.
Dancing moose.
And don't worry, you can still get your McDonald's and use it as a receipt, but it's just not going to count for as much.
Right.
That's all. That's all. If you want to get as many opportunities to win as possible, go to local eatery zone.
I would ask you to go through those rules again, but I think we've had enough confusion for one 24-hour
need at least 3
period.
receipts in total from 3 different restaurants, including at least 2 local restaurants that are franchises. All receipts must be dated between June 10th and June 17th, 2020. Each receipt has to be for a minimum of $20, excluding delivery fees if applicable. More than one receipt from the same restaurant doesn't increase your chance of winning. You can use the same receipts in more than one online passport. For each local restaurant, we define local as a restaurant for a franchise of a local company. Damn it. I almost had it.
You had it until the definition.
I know.
Yeah.
I am terrible with definitions.
That was a good run.
You know what? I mean, outside the border, inside the border, can't travel, will travel, all travel.
Local restaurant, chain restaurant.
Chain restaurant. I don't know what's going on. cabinradio.ca for all your local news and for more information on Takeout Week. You guys have yourselves a wonderful day. Travel at your leisure.
Thanks for listening. Check out more from the show at cabinradio.ca and by following the Mornings at the Cabin Facebook page.